Howdy, everyone. I'm Mercy, and welcome to the first of what I hope to be many interviews with a certain set of people. It is a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you for joining us this evening. Tonight is kind of an amazing night because our guest is Mr. Jonah Scott himself. Jonah, how are you this evening?
I'm great. Doom came out today, so I'm on well, I would say cloud 9, but there's a lot of hell in Doom, so I'm on like seventh circle of hell.
Understandable. Okay, so Jonah, if you could take the stand for a little bit and give us a
Sure.
small introduction about yourself and what part you play in this series, that'd be wonderful.
Cool. Yeah. Hi guys. My name is Jonah Scott, and I voice the character Legoshi in Beastars. Yeah, he's the principal character. I don't want to say he's the main character because there are several characters whose stories you follow, even some side characters whose stories you follow. It's very much an ensemble cast. So I voice a primary character of Beastars, and yeah, I've been voice acting professionally for about a year and a half, 2 years. Doing that out here in Los Angeles. Before that, I was doing semi-pro stuff online in college while I was getting my degree, and people just were like, "Hey, you should." A lot of people joked about it, but they're like, "Hey, you should do this for a living," and I took a second with my girlfriend at the time, and I had talked to her. I'm like, "You really think like, I know you were kind of joking at first, but do you really think I could do this?" And she said yes. And a couple of years after that, I moved out here and slept on the floor for a year. And now, like, I just started booking roles last year. And hopefully this is one of the first big ones of many that I really get to chew on. And yeah, in the last year I've been doing a lot. I'm in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm in One Punch Man. I'm slated to be the protagonist of a AAA video game at the end of this year, Dying Light 2. And I am in with a bunch of studios out here, so I'll probably be showing up in some of your favorite games and shows. Fingers crossed that this trajectory keeps up. You guys are honestly here at the inception of my career. This is, quote, the big one, unquote. So I am just as excited as you guys are.
Awesome. Okay, before we get into the interview, I do want to go over a few things with the people here and you as well, Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
These questions we're about to ask have all come from the community through a form that we put out, so it's not just the staff asking questions they have. These are from the community. I want to reiterate that.
Right.
The questions have been screened, so there shouldn't be anything offensive or
Okay.
weird that came through. Jonah, when it comes to these questions, for the sake of those who may be listening, we ask that if you could try to keep your answers within the context of what the anime has shown, so that those who are planning or reading currently the manga can do so with gusto without having to worry about any sort of spoilers from this interview.
Of course.
And for those of us who are listening, in order to keep the Discord pretty organized, we ask that all discussion about Jonah's responses and how the interview is going be kept in the interview text channel that is right above this voice channel. Depending on how this one turns out, we will repost the questionnaire form for people to ask more questions in the event that we possibly have Jonah back for a second interview, or if other voice actors answer or reach out to them and hopefully sit down with us in the future. That's about I had to say. Jonah, do you have any more remarks before we get this interview underway?
Let's crack this nut, boys.
All right. How this interview is going to go is we gave people the option to leave their username if possible, if they wanted to take credit for their question, all that sort of stuff. So I'll be saying their username before the question, and you try your best to answer it.
Fantastic.
All right. First one from Grim Reaper Kink. What is your favorite Beastars meme?
My favorite Beastars meme? Okay, this actually, I kind of decided this a couple of days ago. It's on my Twitter, but there's a bonk meme that like has Jack hitting Legoshi over the head with a stick, and it is just so stupid and dumb, and I love it. But like meme wise, I the male mode meme that I managed to get into the dub, I think is probably one of my favorites. It's in my streams. It's in everything. So male mode is probably my favorite. I worked so hard to get that into the show for you guys. I put my job on the line, but we did it together, you and me, guys. It's probably my favorite Beastars meme. Male mode. Male mood.
Also, from the same person that asked that last question, how far have you delved into the fandom?
I'm active in the Beastars subreddit. I read pretty much everything every day. Before I go to bed, I scroll through it, like top of 24 hours. And if it's something funny, I post, I comment. You know, I haven't posted any memes, because I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to make a bad meme. But I'm very active. I tried my best to, you know, I sang Wild Side with Alejandro. I sang Wild Side with pretty much anybody who wanted to. As soon as I gave out the information that, like, yeah, guys, I'm Legoshi, they're like, let's sing the intro. And I've sung it like 4 times already, but it's great. I love you guys so much, and you are all so nice, and it's like honestly shocking as a guy who's like, I used to get picked on. I used to not have a whole lot of friends and stuff like that, and like I was very solitary, which is why I like stream and play video games a lot. But thank you so much for being so warm and receptive to this boy who just voices a wolf. I love it. I love you. Thank you.
Anonymous asks, why did you decide to audition for the character you're voicing?
Because I have rent and I need to pay rent. No. It was less a decision, more a friend, director friend of mine was like, hey, we're doing a show. Like I had known of Beastars. Like I was aware of it. I wasn't like, I hadn't read the manga all the way through, but I read a couple dozen chapters. And then I watched a couple of the episodes because apparently it was really good. And it was really good, but other things got in the way at that time. So I was just like, I'll finish it later. I get in my inbox the audition for Beastars, and the guy who the director was, his name's Bob, and he's the most like dad kind of dude. He's super chill. He's super cool. And he has very short, like, emails, and they're not usually when we get emails for casting directions, it's like NDA, non-disclosure, is all formatted. There's like highlights everywhere. Everything's bolded, different colors, and it's like, don't tell anybody. But Bob's emails are like, hey, we got this show. They want you to audition for these 2 characters. Get them back to me when you can. There's no deadline. There's nothing. It's just like, here you go. Do it. And I did. I freaked out, first of all, because I know the show, and I know who these characters are, and I know what they're about. And yeah, we did get a little bit of a blurb about them, but I'm just like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I can do. So I went and watched a couple scenes. The scene that they had in the audition was the Show Me Your Fangs scene. That was the one we were auditioning with. And then the very first scene with Legoshi where he's talking to Else, giving Tem's love letter to her. That was the other audition scene. And I did my thing. I know what popular voice types are now, because like, and people were always comparing me to like Roger and Matt and Troy, and it's like, all right, well, this seems like a character that people would want Matt to play. Little did I know Matt was auditioning, but I didn't know that until afterwards. But yeah, I knew I wanted Legoshi. I would have taken Louis and ran with it because Beastars, but I knew I wanted Legoshi. And I've told this story several times, but it bears repeating. I was in a session for another show at that same studio when I got the news that I was Legoshi, and the director just walks into the booth after I do a take, and he's like, "Hey, you got that Beastars gig?" And I'm like, "Oh, holy shit! Okay, cool. What character?" And he's like, the dude you auditioned for." And I'm like, "Bob, I auditioned for like 3 dudes. Which dude was it?" And he's like, the wolf boy. And I said to his face, looked him dead in the eye. I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I took like a solid 10 minutes to freak out in the middle of the session. I'm just like, okay, that's fucking amazing. Oh my God. I'm doing it. This is going to happen. This is happening. I had to finish my session. After the session, I walked outside. And as I was walking to like get my lift, because I didn't have a car at the time, I thought to myself, this is great. This is incredible. Oh my God. You're the lead in a union anime. That's amazing. Oh, fuck. I can't screw this up. I can't screw this up. Oh my God. I'm not allowed. You're not allowed to be bad. You're not allowed to be bad. So it was exciting, but simultaneously the most terrifying thing because they have this huge monumental, like these Japanese voice actors and from stage, they're stage actors. They're not voice actors, they're stage actors. And they mocapped everything, and their performance is gonna be better than yours regardless of what happens. So you have a huge titanic project to live up to, right? And I knew in the back of my head, I'm like, oh God, there's no way. Not with how modern dubbing is, but it's cool. I got the role, and I freaked out, and that was the choice I made. I didn't really choose. It just kind of was thrust upon me, and I ran with it.
All right. Anonymous asks, did you happen to draw inspiration from anywhere when you were voicing Legoshi?
Yes, several times. The first was in the first sometimes you dub in order. So you dub episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But some directors choose to do like 7, 4, 3, 8, 12, like way out of order, just to like spread your performance around, if that makes sense. Because in the beginning it's usually pretty front loaded and you're getting used to the character, and near the end you end really solid because you know what you're doing when you walk in. But there are several things that I picked up in the first few episodes. Instinct, Legoshi. I listened to the Japanese and I thought to myself, I'm not gonna do that. I've been watching a hell of a lot of Naruto lately. A hell of a lot, like 2 episodes a day, every day. So I've been watching a lot of Naruto, and I thought to myself, like, who would I cast as Instinct Legoshi? And I'd be like, wait a second, for sure, Liam O'Brien. So I leaned into the whole Liam O'Brien thing, and it kind of sounds like it's got his cadence to it. It's got that haughty air to it. That I really tried to go for, and you didn't get to hear a whole lot of it, but yeah, that's one bit of inspiration that I took. Another one is Matt Mercer has a lot of there's a character, his character in it's Sword Art, I think. His character in Sword Art has a whole lot of life to it. It's got a lot of I guess upper end to it, very very light. And you can't really tell it's Matt sometimes. So I drew that inspiration in my performance, less the voice, more so the performance. I really wanted to nail that and make it feel grounded and real. So yeah, those are some inspirations. If I think of some more, I'll go ahead and I'll drop those in. But yeah, there's definitely I didn't do this alone. I'll just say that I did not do this alone.
King Crimson asks, can you relate with Legoshi? And if you do, what personality trait of his character do you relate with the most?
Up until like 2 years ago, I had some pretty bad. I was pretty depressed. I was a really depressed guy. If you ask any of my voice acting friends who would come over and hang out with me, I didn't say a whole lot. I didn't talk a whole lot. I did a lot of auditions, but I wasn't as active with people. I lost interest. Like while I was booking some roles and doing a lot of auditions, I had lost a lot of interest in voice acting. I kind of felt very blasé most of the day, and I was straight up depressed, and I knew it. And it's hard. I'm not the kind of person, ask anybody I know, I'm not the kind of person to ask for help. I don't. I want to try and do things by myself and pull myself up by my own bootstraps. That old chestnut. But I had to ask for help, and I asked for help from my friends. I went and got, therapy, and I had a big, long journey over the past couple of years getting this under control. And that's exactly what I resonated with Legoshi. I know how you feel, man. I know how you feel. But it gets better, and it definitely gets better for Legoshi. It gets better. I didn't say it gets good, but it gets better.
Man, thanks for sharing that with us, man.
Sure. It's good. I have a feeling it's going to get real. So get cozy up to a fire, put some hot chocolate on. We're going to get cozy, guys. It's going to get nice.
Christmas music that we had going on.
Yeah. I'm in that zone right now. Then I'm going to go back and start screaming at Doom.
Yeah. All right. Jocelyn asks, was it difficult at all for you to get into character when recording lines? If so, were there any special exercises or warm-ups you would do to help ease your way in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I would drive down, after I got my car, I would sing in the car. Singing in the shower is very, very good too, to warm up. Incredible, because of the steam, it opens everything up, and it's great. Getting into character for Legoshi, it really happens when you're in the booth and you take a minute while everybody's starting to set up the microphone and they're setting up your session and getting all the cues lined up and everything. You take a couple of seconds and be like, all right, this is what we're doing today. Usually you'll see on a screen like a few frames or like a loop section of what you're about to do. And since I've seen the show before, I know, okay, it's this scene. We're doing the Juno dance scene. I know, okay, get in that headspace, right? But as far as like rituals or something like that, I guess the closest thing I would have would be growling and snarling. I know it sounds weird, but as a voice actor, your voice very well, and you know it like an instrument. Like, a person who's played saxophone for 10 years knows every nook and cranny of their personal saxophone. And I know every nook and cranny of my voice, and I learn more about it every day. So I know the position I have to get everything in to do the growling and the snarling and the roaring and the swiping. You can't just do that cold. So before I do those scenes, I definitely stand in the booth and jump up and down a little bit, and you get crazy. You have to go full out for that stuff. Otherwise, it just sounds like you're holding back. And I even, going back to watch the dub, you're your own worst critic. And there are some scenes where I'm like, that was terrible. Go back and do that. You could go back and do that way better, but we only get one or two takes, and they'll take what they think is the best. And you're directing yourself to a point. After you get it into the microphone, it's not yours anymore. But the growls definitely were something that I decided to go a little bit feral on.
Before I go on to the next question, we do have a couple of requests in chat for you to just go ahead and let one out, growl.
Okay, hold on. You gotta get, hold on.
You gotta get warmed up.
You really gotta get the nose into it too, because Legoshi has a snout, right? Yeah. So he like breathes through his snout as he's kind of. There you go.
Yeah, that was pretty great. Anonymous asks, who do you look up to as your ideal or your inspirational voice actor?
Okay. The hot takes here. Here we go. All right. So when I moved out here, and in certain years, as I was like doing research into voice acting and who I sounded like and who I really like very much, obviously a fan favorite is Troy Baker. Him and Matthew Mercer, they have very similar timbres. They speak and perform in very similar ways. How they've voice matched each other in several things. They are two of my idols. Them and Roger Craig Smith. wonderful, wonderful actors. I steal a lot from them, but that is what good what is it? Good artists create, great artists steal. You take what somebody else is doing well, somebody else discovered, and you try and adapt it to your own thing. Like I said with the Liam thing, Liam has a certain cadence when he speaks, especially in dubs, and I stole that. I just took it. I'm just like, I like that. I'm gonna do it again. Still very creative and still putting your own spin on it, but the mega idol I have is Matt, for sure. I've never met the man. He probably knows who I am because so many people have been adding him lately thinking Legoshi is Matt. But it is me. And I've rehearsed. I'm just as much of a fanboy about him as anybody. I have rehearsed dozens of speeches that I would say to him if I was to introduce myself to him. You're an idol to me. I look up to you. You're the reason I'm out here. That kind of thing. But I know when I meet him, I'm just gonna freak out and hand him a Sharpie and tell him to sign my DM guide or something. But yeah, Troy's kind of fallen by the wayside. I guess career-wise, my idol would be Troy, but personality and interrelationship-wise, it would probably be Matt because I don't see Troy doing a lot with the community, and Matt is a paragon of the community. He's really great at dealing with people, and I don't know if Troy is very good at dealing with people.
That's pretty good. I like that. Skursnecki asks, when it comes to the world of Beastars, what would you say out of all of its aspects piqued your interest the most and made you think that you have to be a part of this?
Everything outside of Cherryton. Because Cherryton is great, but for all intents and purposes, it is a backdrop of a high school. That's pretty much it. Right, you get one or two little world building things here and there inside Cherryton, but when they leave, I've watched episode 5, God knows how many times, because I pick up tiny little things in the background, characters in the background, every time something new, and I like learning about that stuff. It's kind of like. I liken it to playing an MMO for the first time that you've something in a genre you've never seen before. Because you're like, wow, this world is incredible. I want to learn more about it. I want to go and read the lore. I want to read the quest text. If I would want to read the quest text in Beastars for sure. It's incredible. So everything outside of Cherryton, well, it is great. Cherryton is great. I've seen high school in anime before, right? And I think we all have.
Lust Avarius asks, as a fellow voice actor, I aspire to be able to work on some of the larger scale projects that I love, such as Beastars. As such, I'm curious to know how it is you landed your roles within the upcoming English dub for the show. How were you approached, and did you go out of your way to get the part?
No, I didn't go out of my way to get the part. I did have a lot of help, though. I have friends who are in my corner a lot, and I've been working with them for years. And they constantly would say, way back when, 6-7 years ago, this is happening. Well, I'm gonna work in LA, and I'm gonna help you because you're an amazing voice actor, and I'm gonna help you get where you need to go, and I'm gonna put your foot in the right doors, and I'm gonna help you out. And again, somebody who doesn't really ask for help. People have to come and knock on my door and say, hey, I want to help you. And that's what happened. I didn't really go out of my way to do anything. I just had a bunch of people offer to help me get where I knew I should be, but was too scared to do myself. Again, because of social anxiety and every other thing under the sun that has to do with that. But I didn't go out of my way. It was I liken it. I hate to use this word, but I just want to say fate, because of a lot of reasons that we're probably going to touch on here soon. But yeah.
SJ117 asks, It was said that the Japanese VAs for Beastars acted out scenes like a theater play, which made the dialogue feel more natural compared to other anime. Uh, did you guys physically act out any scenes for yourselves? And if not, what provisions did you guys as voice actors make to try and live up or match that standard?
Griffin, me, Lauren, and Ben all knew what we were getting into. We knew exactly what the show was. We knew exactly what tones we were supposed to strike. We knew what the outcome was at the end. We knew what we had to do. Some of the actors kind of didn't know what Beastars was. Like Christina V. She had no idea what Beastars was. When she figured out that there was rabbit titty, she was like, what the fuck? Oh, what the fuck was that? Like she didn't have any idea what she was getting into. So, that has a certain effect on your performance. Since I did know, and since Griffin and I both knew, I've said this story before, but he came over to my place to rehearse because that's what they did. That's what they did. It was a stage play. They rehearsed. They knew their lines before they went in. Now, we don't have that luxury. We have the translation, and we do the best that we can with the translation. But Griffin came over to my place, and we did rehearse our scenes a couple of times, which is way more work than any dub that you would put in because we knew what we were trying to do. As for making it natural, I was very intimidated because I lived with an ADR writer and voice actor for a year. I know what anime fans are like when a dub comes out. Some people are just incapable of saying the words good and dub in a sentence together. Like, it just doesn't work. And then there are people who are very critical, but positively critical, where you have recommendations that are valid and they're backed up by real reasons and not just dub bad. What I like to think I excel at is cinematic, real, grounded, natural performances, and that's something you don't get to do a lot in anime, at all, ever. There are a few scenes in the show where if it were any other anime, with any other studio, with any other actor, with any other director, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. The last scene. There's several times in the last scene. Camera cuts away from lip flaps. You know what that means? That means it's time to fucking act. It's time to act your ass off. Stutters. Mumbles. Thinking about the words you're going to say. Breathing. Being natural. Understanding this. Syncing flaps. Sometimes when we were writing, or when there was a writer, sometimes when we were reading the writing, we're like, that doesn't work at all. This does not work with the flaps at all. So I had to rewrite some of it. The director had to rewrite some of it. We had to make it work. So me as a cinematic actor, understanding that saying, instead of saying, Yamaro, I know Yamaro means stop, right? But there's 3 flaps there, so you cut it out or something like that. That's enough. Stop that shit. But with the mumbles and the breaths and thinking about things, it's so great because Legoshi has so much inner dialogue, and there's no flaps there. So thank God the director knew what I was capable of, and he said, dude, just do your thing. Just do your thing. Just act. Just let it go. You're good at what you do. Just do it. And that led to some really, really good performances from everybody because the director knew what everyone was capable of. Whether or not the actors had the wherewithal to put themselves in the world, that's another thing entirely. But me, Griffin, Lauren, Ben, we knew what we were getting ourselves into.
I did have, in that question, I did have a personal opinion I wanted to run by you and ask what your thoughts on it would be. When it came down to the fact that the Japanese got to have the, stage orientation, all that sort of stuff, and then the dub didn't get that at all and had to work in booths and stuff like that, do you think it's, honestly, in that case, would it be very fair to even try and compare the dub and sub together?
I think they were two, as a story, yes, go ahead and compare them. That is 100% applicable. Whether or not we had the right intentions and line reads, that's fine. Go ahead and compare those. But from a production standpoint, if you look at the subtitles or, done by a different company, not Netflix, not me, Sometimes it's the director's final say, and sometimes that's probably not what the fans want, but shrug, you can't really do it. Like there's several things in there that I wish I could personally go back and change, but I can't do that because once it's on wax, it's done, it's in, it's out, right? But comparing them from a production standpoint, you can't. It's impossible. I knew going in, which is one of the scary things about this. I knew going in there was no way in hell at all we would ever be able to achieve technically, from a technical mechanical standpoint, what the dub achieved. Can't do it. Impossible. With the time and money we had, impossible. But with what we did have, I think we knocked it out of the fucking park.
I think a lot of people within the community actually agree with you on that, which is what I like. I was fully expecting, a far less positive because that's just how it usually is.
Me too.
But like you guys did awesome on it.
I went in, thank God, I went in expecting everyone to hate it. So I'm glad it even got a little bit of positive feedback every time I read everything. I read everything. I'm an actor. I have a fuckload of time, guys. When I'm not acting, I'm, playing video games or watching YouTube, right? Or auditioning. So I read everything you guys say everywhere on Twitter. I have a really bad habit of going through Twitter and scrolling through lots of really bad reviews and then just like spite liking all of them. Just be like, I saw that. I saw your bad review. The voice actor saw your bad review. But I think it's fucking hilarious. I love it. Both the good and the bad. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch it just happen.
Anonymous asks, how have your interactions with the Beastars community treated you so far?
This has been the nicest welcome I've ever had anywhere for anything. I cannot express to everyone how kind you have been to me and how refreshing that is. I love you guys. Like I've developed a rapport with you that I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life and carry with you guys for the rest of my life. I'm going to see you guys at conventions and shake your hand and know exactly who you are. Maybe not shake your hand now, but I will know exactly who you are. I will know you by name, hopefully, if my brain lets me do that. And I'll sign your furry porn. Like, come and say hi. I want to interact with you guys so much. And through my stream, hopefully, under this lockdown, we'll be able to do that every day. I'm going to try and do that full time just for you guys because you deserve it. Based on the warm welcome you've given me, I'm going to try my best to repay it emotionally to you guys. And just thank you for liking the work. I can't. I would like to be a little bit more poetic, but put on the spot, you guys are just fucking awesome, and you're going to be fucking awesome for a very long time.
Thank you very much. The next question. Best Teammaker asks, how big of a fan are you of, I hope I'm saying this right, Ali after having worked on Beastars?
Oh, huge. I listened to the OP every time I would drive down to go to a session. Like, there's a lot of time when you're sitting in traffic on the 405. So I listened to all the covers. I listened to all the mashups. There's one where it mashes up Battle Tendency, Tank, and Wildside, and I think another song from Steven Universe. It's so good, so fucking good. And yeah, exactly. They're talking about it in chat. Exactly. So I'm knee deep in it, guys. I'm knee deep in it. I'm a huge fan, and especially after working on it and seeing everything, seeing the story through from a performance perspective. You leave a little bit of yourself in shows like these. You really do, and there's a little bit of me inside Beastars. At least the anime.
A lot of people asked, what's the hardest part about voicing your character?
The growls are kind of tough if you haven't warmed up. Like the very first growl I did was less a growl, more of a baring of your teeth. But the growls are difficult. Getting the right read the first or second time, again, because we only get about 2 or 3 takes, 1 to 3 takes. and you want a really cinematic read. You want one that's really real. You want one that you feel something when you hear it, and it's not just a flat, for lack of a better term, dubby performance. That is probably the hardest part about not necessarily voicing the character Legoshi in particular, but the subtle nuances and mechanically how hard that is, especially in a dub.
Yeah, that's understandable. Jeffrey Convoy asks, do you feel any bit of pressure or influence when voicing a well-known furry anime? I know the furry community has received a lot of negative feedback from people in general, so does this affect you in any way?
I want to try and be your guys' representative. I want to make sure that you guys are treated fairly, because I know, having furry friends, that the community is sometimes attacked. And you know what? I want to stand there with a sword and shield and say, back the fuck off. Like, these are my people. I I want to be that knight for you guys, to the liaison to the real world, so to speak. And I feel this immense weight of responsibility. And I want to make you guys happy. I want to make you guys safe, and I want you guys to have fun with me. So yeah, there is a responsibility to this role that extends far beyond season 1 of a dub called Beastars. To me, to some other people it could be just a role, but this is more important to me.
Anon asks, if you were an animal, what species would it be?
All right, so real talk, okay? I would want to be an otter, right? Because, I mean, living as an otter seems pretty sweet, pretty lit, right? You just swim, your fur is waterproof, and when you're not wet, it's so soft and dry, and you hold hands when you're on your back. But my favorite animal is a blue whale, for kind of similar reasons, because they are giant blimps under the water that just don't give a shit about anything because they're so big, and you live for hundreds of years because of that reason. And I mean, blue whales are just cool looking. My favorite Pokemon's Whale Lord. Like, I love blue whales.
Honestly, I can kind of resonate with that reasoning, just kind of floating along, just no
chilling,
worries in the world.
Eating krill. Baleen, filter feeding. It's great.
Yeah, I can respect that. All right. Ramen asks, is there a character you've always wanted to voice act for? And this can be any series, even if their role is already taken.
Okay. Inspiration back in high school to voice act almost period was the first little spark in me to be like, well, maybe you could do this. I played BioShock, a lot of BioShock, and the performances in BioShock were amazing for a lot of reasons, mostly because they were recorded at a studio called PCB, with a director named Keith Aram and Valerie Aram. They are amazing directors. They run a business out of their home, really big fucking LA home, right? But a home nonetheless. Their kids sleep there, they sleep there. There's a studio in the house. It's awesome. That's one of the reasons. But I would love to be in a BioShock game of some kind. I know Infinite kind of put a button on a lot of the franchise, but there's an open-ended thing there. I wanted to be in Titanfall at one point as well. World of Warcraft. I know Blizzard is not the best company of late, but back in high school, it was at its peak. And I would listen to the performances in Warcraft 3 and World of Warcraft period, and even up until like 6 or 7 years ago when we had some really good expansions come out. I was just like, man, I could really nail this. It would be amazing to be in World of Warcraft. There are some others too. I played a lot of Fallout. So when Outer Worlds came out, I streamed the hell out of that. And I played a lot of Outer Worlds, and I have some friends that are in Outer Worlds, and I'm just like, why the fuck did I get in these auditions? But yeah, very story-driven, narrative-driven things. My end game is mocap and vocal performance capture for video games and animation and stuff like that, because I feel like I can really get into character there. I can use my my talent for naturalistic performances and cinematic performances there. I might be able to do a character voice in there or two, but yes, I have a trajectory, and I feel like there are places I do want to get. And there's games I do want to be in, and there are characters I definitely want to voice. One of them in particular is Aiden Caldwell. Please, Techland, don't recast me, please. Oh my gosh, I really want to keep doing this. But yes.
Foreigner asks, which of your past character roles do you think bears the most similarities in terms of personality, articulation, etc., to your current Beastars role? And if you don't have a character like that, how has this new experience treated you?
There are several. There's one character in particular, and I've been drawing the similarities between these two characters in my own head for a while. Aiden and Legoshi. They both have this the urge to help people. They're both just a little bit edgy. Some people didn't like the amount of edge that I gave Legoshi, but I liked it. Aiden and Legoshi are both kind of edgy. They're both I can't say that because the whole anime thing, but they both are very helpful to the general populace. I'll just say that. And they just want to do right. So similarity, even voice-wise, they're very similar. Aiden is a little bit more of an asshole than Legoshi is, but they sound very similar.
Jax H asks, do you think that season 1 of Beastars will affect you in any way in the later run after everything is said and done? Would looking back on it make you try something different for season 2 in any vein?
Yes. 100% yes. If you'll notice in episode 1, the voice sounds different than it does in episode 12. That's because in episode 11 and 12 and 10 subsequently, I think I did the best performances in the season there. My best performances in the season, not the best ever. God, Louis does some really good shit. But my best performances are in 10, 11, and 12. I found the character. I found it. In the last half of the season, I'm like, there it is. I get this. And it just fits in the last half so well. If you listen to the last maybe half of the last episode, the last half of the last episode of the season, that's where Legoshi's going to be in season 2. That's what he's going to sound like. That's how it's going to be, because I found it. It took a while for me to get to that point in the show, but thank God I did, because I'm happy with how that sounds, which for an artist is incredibly rare to say.
Delta Omega asks, what games from your childhood do you have fond memories of?
Somebody asked me this earlier, and there's nobody knows what this game is, but it has a few of my favorite voice actors in it. Gladius is an old Xbox game from LucasArts, which is like a strategy gladiator team builder. So good. I played the fuck out of Gladius. Probably one of my favorite games. Please give it a remake. There's obviously BioShock, World of Warcraft are big influences on me. Especially Lord of the Rings. Some of the Lord of the Rings video games from based on the movies were actually really good. They were actually really good and really well thought out and fun games. Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars game, which was really good. My roommate's been playing through that a little bit. I kind of side eye every time he turns it. I'm like, hey, you playing KOTOR? Can I watch? Can I watch you play KOTOR, please? Because I don't. I just love the nostalgia of it. Is fantastic. Let's see. Not in any kind of voice acting realm, but I played so much Rock Band and Guitar Hero. I was scarily good at Guitar Hero. I played a lot of what else? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I was pretty into those games. Those were fun. Some of them had voice acting, and it was bad. But yeah.
I don't actually know anything about the Tony Hawk, but do you think that voice acting was bad, either because they just had people that didn't know what they were doing, or do you think that they actually got the actual pros in there to do their own lines and they
Oh
just
no,
don't
I had this is another this is another God, Keith is gonna kill me. This is another game that was recorded at PCB, and I am non-discriminate with my praise. So I I know Keith even said in a couple of classes that I took at PCB, he's like, yeah, I get it, it's bad. These are bad. I mean, they got the actual athletes in, which was cool. And Keith wanted the actual athletes in because it took a lot of directing off of his shoulders, and he just kind of let the athletes do whatever because people would be happy that the athletes are in it regardless, right? But that's why I know it's bad, is because like some of the actors they got are fine, but it's hard to direct a skateboarder that's never been in a show or a movie before.
All right, so I'm just gonna let you know that we're coming up on the last two questions that I put them at the last because these are pretty much questions from the whole community. Like, these questions probably got sent in the most, and then
Okay.
we're gonna say some closing remarks and wrap it up. Let you get on to your stream and
Cool.
everything.
Fantastic.
First one, how did you get your start in voice acting?
Okay, long story. The first bit of it is I didn't want to do stage acting. I've done stage acting for like 15 some odd years when I decided to do voice acting. I'm 26, by the way, so I've been doing it since I was a kid. And I was in college, and I went to hang out with a buddy in New York City for a while in his little tiny postage stamp apartment. And went on some auditions with him, and it was some of the most toxic. I don't know if it was just where he was auditioning and off Broadway, but some of the most toxic audition environments, grueling getting to the auditions, waiting in line, taking the sides. It was very hands-on and very tactile, and they could turn you out the door for, wearing the wrong color shoes, and sometimes they'd say that to your face. Not only that, some of the people that were doing the auditions were people in their mid-40s, but these people looked like they were in their 60s because they had been doing musical theater for their whole life. Now, if you've never done a stage play, it is sometimes, especially when you're doing show or a tech week or something like that, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2 weeks. It's grueling, and you're on stage. It's actual work when you're on stage. It's not just like sitting around and stuff, but it's real work, and it's hard work. So I didn't want to subject my body to that. And dancing, right? If you dance every day for 8 hours a day, your body's gonna feel that, and by the time you're 40, you're gonna look like you're 60. And I'm like, maybe there's another way I can do this, or maybe I could go to culinary school, which I did for a year, and work on that part of my life or something like that. But like I said, the old story is I was playing Titanfall with my girlfriend in my dorm, and she's like, in Titanfall, the main character is Matthew Mercer, voiced by Matthew Mercer, Jack Cooper, and he starts doing quips and stuff, talking to BT7274. And my girlfriend looks at me and she's like, "You sound a lot like him." And I'm like, "Oh, stop. It's not." And she's like, "You seriously sound like talk." And we did some like back and forth. And I'm like, "Well, you're kind of right." And that's what got me interested in it. And then from then on, I was like, okay, there are auditions that I can do online for this kind of thing. And I did Fandom stuff for a while. And then I graduated from that to doing, Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaigns, and getting voiced in those. And then I finally made the decision to move out with a friend of mine, sleep on his floor upstairs. They live upstairs. They live right above me, Jalen Cassell and Ryan Raydark, him and his boyfriend. They are amazing people. Go look them up. Jalen Cassell is amazing. Great actor. He plays Okiyasu in the last episode or the last season of JoJo's. But yeah, that's how I got my start. I had a lot of help from friends. A lot of it is boots on the ground out here, especially when you're just starting out and nobody knows really who you are. I had the luck of knowing some people knowing who I am from online work. But I came out here and it was way bigger pond. And a lot of it is taking classes. Once I would go into a class, I would do my thing. I would do my shtick. I would talk to the director, and the director's like, yeah, you got chops. Okay, cool. We'll talk. Right? And that's about all you get until you get an audition in your inbox. So it's it's a roll of the dice, but sometimes you get 2 6s, and it's amazing.
The last one we have is kind of a two-parter. When it comes to the Beastars characters contained with the anime, what is your personal ship, and then what is like an out there underdog ship that you have?
Okay, all right. Personal ship. I mean, as Legoshi, who is having trouble, you know, dealing with his sexuality, I think Legoshi and Haru are my personal ship that I would really like to happen. But my wild card ship. Oh, you guys are gonna hate this. I have 2 wild card ships. One you're gonna hate, one you won't. Lego Louie, or Loogie, as I like to call it. Thumbs up. Very fine. Good shit. The one you're gonna kill me for. All right. But I've got so much shit going on in my head about this, and I'm just like, this could be really fun. This could be really cool. Legoheen. Think about it for a second. Yeah. Figured. But okay. See? Told you. I'm a fucking animal. All right. Moving on.
Okay. Well, I'm sad to say that that's the last question we have for you at this time, since we don't want to keep you around for too much of your time. Are there any
cool.
closing
Fun,
remarks
man.
that you'd like to say?
Guys, you're fucking awesome. I want you to be in my life for the foreseeable future. Thank you for submitting your questions to ask me. One thing I really want to hammer home. Yes, we do. I do have some closing remarks now that you mention it. One thing I really want to hammer home about voice actors in general. Don't put us on a pedestal. Don't do it. We're just dudes. I'm just a dude playing, Doom online. I want you guys to think of me as just a dude playing online. I'm just a guy. I did the legwork to get here, but this is my job. I'm a voice actor. It's my job. Yeah, sure. But I'm having fun. I'm just having fun being a dude, and other voice actors may take their job incredibly seriously. I take my job seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all. At all. I'm the most embarrassing thing about me. So yeah, I'm just a dude. I'm just a guy. Griffin's just a dude. Lauren's just a girl. We're all trying to make it work. So don't put us on a pedestal. Mr. Scott is my father.
All right, and you have any social media or possible dates of other interviews you might be doing at the time that you'd like to plug?
Shit, I'm on a furry podcast on the 29th. I don't know if that's gonna be streamed or not. We're gonna have some fun there, doing some games, asking some questions. It is called Subwuffer, I think, which is super fucking clever. It's the first podcast that I will be on, ever. Social media wise, I stream almost every day thanks to this quarantine shit. I stream video games. We're playing Doom right now. I'm gonna hop almost immediately after this interview. We're gonna hop back onto Doom and start pick up where we left off. On Fridays on my streams, I do requests. So if you guys have something you want Legoshi to say, if you have something you want Fromaggio or Aiden or any of my other characters, Randy, to say, hop on in. Everybody gets one free request. So on Fridays, everybody gets one free request. Today was Doom Day, so it was a little holiday for me. But yeah, that's it. Also follow me on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, at I'm Mr. Transistor. Thumbs up. Twitch, Twitter, I think we did it. There we go. Plug's done.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for your time here, Jonah. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Of course.
Okay, for those of you still here, thank you for sticking around. We should have a video of this soon once we compile audio and I put together the video. We will be reposting the question form for if you'd like to ask the cast more questions that may not have been asked today. We will also be posting a feedback form so we can improve how we go about this or emphasize the bits that you liked going forward in these interviews. Thank you all for joining. I hope to see you all at the next one when it's announced. Once again, thank you, Jonah, for joining us today.
Sure. Anytime, man. Anytime.
All right. That is it. You guys are free to go.
Stop the recording.
Yeah.